Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I'm a Western astrologer and Twin Flame channel, and this is a video about the Aquarius new moon solar eclipse that took place today when I'm recording it on February 17th at 7:13 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. What an amazing day. I hope you all are enjoying this new moon solar eclipse energy. I know I am. If you are not on the private list, announcement number one, you might want to do that pronto. I've offered something to them today, like literally this afternoon, that won't be on available to the YouTube community until Sunday and later next week. And the limited spots are already moving fast. I am going to be giving the private list a little bit more of an opportunity to take advantage of this before I bring it to YouTube. It's just my way of honoring their investment, their commitment to staying in greater connection with me, and allowing me to be in their inbox. I love to be able to give them that little something extra. But if you have been waiting for me to reopen the reading calendar, what I'm going to put in your inbox before we close this week is going to give you access. And like I said, I'm kind of shocked, but spots are moving faster than I thought they would. And shocked in a good way, in a very, very happy way. Number two, announcement number two, I have two lives coming up. One is this Sunday. I'm going to be talking about Saturn and Neptune moving into Aries and how this important transit is going to reshape our identity and our ambition and thus the rest of our lives. So, if you want to be in on that, I strongly suggest you hit the notification bell and subscribe if you haven't already so you know when I go live. The reality of this very special transit of Saturn and Neptune jointly coming together in Aries is that it's going to allow us to become versions of ourselves that we never thought possible with this transit. And I know that our community, our star family, you guys are already feeling it because you feel things early. So be sure that you are subscribed and you hit the notification bell so that you are with me when I go live this Sunday, February 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern. Then on Saturday, February 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern, I'm going to be live to talk about the Aquarius Leo eclipse cycle. If you're new here, this is something I do at the start of each eclipse cycle. I give a breakdown. I go eclipse to eclipse to walk you through how these eclipses will impact our lives, what you can expect, what is the theme for each eclipse, and what you need to know about how to work with that energy. So I'm going to be doing that breakdown live here on YouTube on Saturday, February 28th at 11 a.m. Eastern, and give you the opportunity to really deep dive and understand this eclipse cycle because it's going to be 2 years long. It's going to help us all find not only our people and our community, but it's also going to reshape our definition of community and our relationship to technology and how we interface with technology as a collective. We're already starting to see the impact of some of this hit. So, again, subscribe, hit that notification bell so that you know when I go live on 222 and 228. Now, if you're new, welcome. Stay with me until the end of this video. That's where I do something for you called First Look. And in First Look, I'm going to give you what you can look forward to in the next lunation so you understand how the energy evolves from this Aquarius new moon solar eclipse into the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse that's happening roughly 2 weeks from now. And just before I give you that little nugget, I'm going to also provide After I do the breakdown of this new moon solar eclipse, I'm going to provide which signs are going to feel this new moon solar eclipse the most. Okay. So, I recently added a little insert at the start of every lunar update because I want to get to know you guys better. I want to share a little bit more of myself. Little something I learned from working with ASO Tarot last year. I really love her work and her channel. She is an absolute rock star. If you're not subscribed to her, please do because the way she reads is funny, it's insightful, it's in depth. It is really thorough. And if you like the depth on this channel, you're going to love the way she breaks things down. She does tarot, I do astrology, and she is truly my sister from another mister. That girl, I adore her. So learn from her two things. Number one, let's connect. Let me ask you a question. I want to hear your answers. I do read them and respond. And secondly, if you watch any of the ads that show up during this video for at least 30 seconds, I will get paid from YouTube. If you skip past them and don't watch them for 30 seconds, I don't get paid from YouTube, which explains a lot about what's been going on with YouTube revenue because I just don't make money from YouTube. I make my money from teaching and classes and readings. So if you feel inclined to watch an ad, please do because it helps. And our question for today is this. So, several of you have told me that you have had dreams where you've seen me or had a visitation for me or I've shown up in the dream. Now, for the record, I do not astral project, I don't dream walk, I do not astral travel. I slipped out of my body one time during meditation back in 2007, and that was terrifying for me. And I have no intention of splitting from my body like that ever again. I've also never dreamt of subscribers or clients. Now, that being said, I'm curious, have you ever astral traveled? Do you slip out of your body? And where do you go? Do you visit people in your dreams that tell you that they've seen you? Have you ever co-dreamed with somebody where they recognized you and you recognized them and y'all had the exact same dream on the exact same night? I am fascinated by that phenomenon. Though I have no desire to personally experience it, I have so much protection set up for me before I go to sleep. When I go to sleep, I cannot have dream interference. I refuse to bother you. But I'm super curious if you know, have dream adventures. I'm fascinated by it. Okay, let's get into our eclipse energy. I feel like that's a really pertinent question to be asking before we get into Pisces season, because Pisces is the season that governs dreams. But for right now, we're at the tail end of Aquarius season. Let's talk about our Aquarius new moon solar eclipse. There it is at the 28th degree of Aquarius, our sign that deals with communities, groups, friendships, collectives, unions, but also technology and quantum growth, quantum computing, quantum thinking, and quantum energy. In shadow, because Aquarian energy can operate so non-linearly that it's hard for our conscious brain to follow, we understand this energy and to be like chaos. But in the light, this is just non-linear movement toward what's next. It can skip several steps, making us think that something happened instantaneously, overnight, or suddenly. So, Aquarius new moon solar eclipse in this sign. New moons are, in fact, new beginnings. Aquarius is one of the signs of change. And in particular, with a solar eclipse falling on a new moon, we are talking about a new beginning on steroids, as Nadia Shah likes to say, in any of the arenas that I just mentioned. Pay attention to the chart your chart and where the 28th degree of Aquarius falls for more specific details. We see this eclipse conjunct an energy here named Chariklo that I read, and also Mars. It's super loose conjunction to Mars. Some astrologers would not even consider it a conjunction to Mars, but on this channel I use a very wide orb because I have found that my subscribers are sensitive enough to feel things up to 10 degrees away. So, what does this mean? Chariklo brings in the energy of blessings and interceding, having the divine come to our aid because someone prayed for us, someone looked out for us. There's intercessional blessing here. Somebody put in a good word for us. Now, this quote, somebody, because we're talking about Chariklo here, could certainly be a mother, but it doesn't have to be. It could also be an ancestor, angel, spirit guide, the Holy Spirit, whatever and whomever you work with. Chariklo can stand in for that level of intercession with the divine. Then we have Mars here. Mars is our energy of motivation, ambition, taking action, taking steps, movement. It's our interior human masculine energy. Mars Chariklo conjunct this particular new moon solar eclipse in Aquarius gives us blessings when we take action overall, but it especially provides blessings when we take action in groups and in communities, and we utilize technology in the light and to the best of our advantage. We'll also see new motivation to use technology in new ways, and when we do that, blessings begin to unfold when we do so. This can also be the formation of brand new communities, brand new groups. So you may find that as this Aquarius new moon solar eclipse unfolds, that there is an energy of new group forming, new community forming. You may have joined a union, you may have joined some sort of new friendship circle over the course of this new moon solar eclipse. And if you haven't yet, you might yet still, it could be coming. And then we also see communities and groups taking action together as a group with this energy. And so, whatever group you may have joined or found yourself a part of, some sort of group action may be, or activation may be what happens here, and all of you doing it online or through technology. Shout out to the hacktivists. We truly are in need of your work and services now. We also see new actions can happen here that quantum leap technology forward. So, announcements about new technology coming out or technology that takes a giant step forward, some sort of new understanding, awareness about the way technology can be utilized and employed in our lives can show itself with this new moon solar eclipse. So, what I just said, and then everything else I'm about to share about the other aspects to this new moon solar eclipse are things that could have shown up in the last 90 days because eclipse energies can be felt that early. So we're talking roughly since November 19th of 2025. That's when this energy opened. By the time we got to December 19th and January 18th of 2026 and December 19th of 2025, those would have been the 60-day and then 30-day activation points for this energy. Major events associated with this eclipse would have happened during that period of time, and specifically at the 30 and 60-day mark, like within 24 to 48 hours of each of those. That's when we really start to see activation show itself around joining groups or groups coming together. technology taking that step forward. So I want you to think back what was happening in your world December 19th, January 18th, and for some, November 19th. But for the majority, we are talking closer to January 18th, December 19th. That would have been the earliest activation points. Now, this eclipse's energy will also continue to show itself 30, 60, and up to 90 days after this February 17th date, with the heaviest activation on the 30 and 60-day marks. So we're talking about March 19th and April 18th, and then May 18th. These activation dates are the time when events are most likely to happen affiliated with this eclipse in particular. So all the things that I just mentioned about these conjunctions of Chariklo and Mars really showcases the way this eclipse energy is going to show up at a baseline. But we also see a sextile to Chiron and Eris and Ceres here in the sign of Aries. So Ceres represents closure. Chiron represents a three-part journey, which is the rejection, the abandonment part. Then there's the healing, the integration, and then there's the teaching and the guiding of others. Most people just like to associate Chiron with his mythological death, which is the wounding that got him immortality among the stars, but he lived a very rich life prior to that. That is also part of Chiron's interpretation. And then we have Eris here, which is an energy of strife. And so Chiron and Eris in Aries, this is a really uncomfortable energy. There's not another way for me to put that. This is what has been at the heart in 2025 and in 2026 of a lot of some of the sort of self-victimization that turns outward into projection and aggression. Aries is the sign of the self. In the shadow, it is aggression. It can exude aggression or show aggression. And then we also see when Chiron and Eris get together, they can bring out the lowest parts of each other. The part that they have in common that they can resonate with and amplify, like strings on a guitar, are the part that has to do with being left out, excluded, rejected. Now that they're no longer retrograde, they had been retrograde for a while. Now that they're both moving direct, and Ceres has joined the party, which is about harvest, closure, seasons, we get this energy that speaks to the closing of rejection, and then in sextile to this new community, solar eclipse over here, we get the closure of rejection and then finding our right people. So it's a really beautiful, synchronized energy that allows us to find where we belong on life's puzzle and really begin to feel at home again with people who are our right people. Okay. Um, One of the things that really may have shown itself as Aries and has hosted Chiron and Eris. And this energy is going to continue to be with us for the rest of 2026. This sort of theme of dealing with rejection, dealing with exclusion, dealing with a sense of abandonment or being left behind or being left out. This theme continues to show itself this year. It subsides just a little bit in June and July as Chiron pulls away in this direction, but then Chiron retrogrades back towards Eris, and they're in a conjunction again as we close the year. What that energy has been trying to do, and many of you have talked to me about this privately in one-on-one readings, is it's trying to help us loosen our attachment to Connections, identity, how can I put this? Let me find the right words. You can do it, Kay. This is the sign of identities that it sits in. Our identity is what allows other people to connect with us. It allows other people to say, hey, I get you, I see you, I belong with you, you belong with me. When identity goes through such a dramatic shift, which it's doing presently with Saturn and Neptune at the very early parts of this sign, which we're going to talk about soon here on the channel Sunday. So definitely subscribe and hit the notification bell. When identity starts to loosen and shift, the people who are plugged into our identity can no longer find their outlet. Their outlet has changed shape. And so I liken this to like a puzzle piece, right? Let's just say this is a puzzle piece here. There are certain pieces that can fit here, 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 and here. However, when that puzzle piece changes shape, let's say it's no longer shaped like that, and now it's shaped like this, right? It goes from being shaped the way it was shaped to being shaped differently. That means that the pieces that fit on all four sides, they just can't plug in anymore. You got to find a new place on the puzzle board to be at home. And so, what's unfolding here for all of us collectively, and this has been unfolding for a while as Chiron and Eris have been in the sign of Aries. Toward the end, we've become more and more and more in touch with where we just don't fit, the people we no longer fit with. And it's been a long time coming for some of us. And so many of you have spoken to me privately in readings, and you say to me, like, Kay, when are new friends coming? Kay, I don't have any community. Like, I shed everyone I've known. Kay, I'm so lonely. And it's been lonely for a while. When is it going to stop feeling so lonely? Well, first of all, you're not doing anything wrong. You're right on track. We are all being moved, to use another game analogy, across life's chessboard. So, where we started is not where we're going to end up. The people we started with are not the people we're going to end up connected to. It's not supposed to be that way. So, if you're shedding, you're right on track, you're right on time. Secondly, part of loosening the bond between those older communities it has to do with us shape shifting our identity and really feeling into, wow, I don't fit where I used to fit. And that's the divine purpose of Chiron and Eris and Aries. It's not to have us feel victimized. It's not to have us land in exclusion or isolation. It's not for the purposes of making us feel like we don't belong. It's instead to have us get uncomfortable enough so that we're no longer clinging, gripping to the people that aren't going to go with us into our next season and chapter of life. And collectively, we're all doing this together. And like I said, I'm going to go much deeper into this on Sunday. But for now, because this energy is speaking to the new moon solar eclipse in Aries, what you may find is that you get into connection with people with like wounding or people who have been excluded or rejected or abandoned for similar reasons to you. You may also find that um, Eris is a little bit of an agent of chaos. Bless her. She is the energy of righteous riot and righteous rage. She really comes to do her thing when things are going down that should not be going down. Um, she like calls out consolidation against her, by exploding that energy's capacity to operate in harmony. So, those of you who are astute, you're going to be able to make the connection to what's going on in the collective. But for us individually, what I'll speak to in that is you may have found over the course of 2025 and 2026, a little piece of you has wanted to, just kind of like, oh, you want to play it like that? Watch this. Like, little retaliatory action may have shown up in a couple of places as this energy has escalated between Chiron and Eris and Aries. Like, okay, y'all want to play mean girl? You can't sit with me? Okay. Watch my glow up and eat my dust. This sort of energy. And so Ceres here has now joined their little twosome party, and the three of them are speaking to this new moon solar eclipse. And now the party has escalated into, oh, we're a little community now. We have our own clique, we have our own crew. And so if you haven't found these people yet in the last 90 days, trust me, these next 90 days are going to be a huge opportunity to get into a community, to find connections in the collective, to find people who think like you, who move like you, who vibrate at your frequency, who've grown through what you've been through, because we've moved collectively into a session and season combined season where we're no longer going to be allowed to fight for what doesn't fit. There is collective astrological pressure to place ourselves where there is alignment. And this new moon solar eclipse in Aries, Aquarius is the sign of uniqueness, the sign of something different, the sign of something untraditional, uncanny, and new, is really allowing us to step into that in our personal energy with these three planets in the sign of Aries, the sign of the personal, so that we're able to start the process of being who we really are, and then finding where we really fit. So it's a really fun energy to connect with like-hearted, like-minded, like-vibed people. Okay. So really good stuff there. And then we also have a square to Uranus in Taurus. So here's Uranus there in Taurus. Now, Uranus is the governing planet of Aquarius. And so to have the governing planet speak to the eclipse is a really big sign here. It's amplifying all of the Aquarian energy, but it's also specifying how it's going to express. And so Uranus and Aquarius, they represent all the things that I mentioned there at the beginning. But what I'll say is, from a squaring perspective, it brings in an element of tension. It brings in an element of challenge. And with tension and challenge, we get the motivation for change. We get the motivation to shift, because that tension can be very uncomfortable for us to sit in. So we're motivated to resolve it by taking action. Uranus in Taurus talks about divine change, quantum change in the third dimension. Taurus is one of our earth signs, specifically having to do with the body and specifically having to do with money. And because we're talking about the square here, this isn't change that just kind of unfolds and flows and it's harmonious and it's aligned and it's easy and it's just the right thing at the right time. Some of that is here. It's definitely here. However, the square can make this change unexpected, unpredictable, and uncomfortable. So I want you to think back over the last 90 days, especially at those activation points. We have 3 more activation points coming, so you still have time to use this energy intentionally and direct it. When squares of this nature show up, we do have the opportunity to use them intentionally. We can give the energy an outlet so that the energy is not roaming through our lives looking for a place to land. Instead, we guide the energy to where we need it to land. We give it a place to land because the energy is going to express. But if we specifically show it where we need it to express and we give it that outlet, our lives can change. We're in alignment and in harmony with the unfoldments and with divine order in a way that doesn't catch us off guard or leave us in unexpected, uncomfortable situations. Okay. Now, this is one of the things that we'll focus on in Star Club when it launches soon, giving the celestial energy an outlet to perform its work. And we'll be doing this through journal prompts and ritual work every new moon and every full moon. This is how you co-create with the energy instead of being controlled by it and at the mercy of energies. You can harness it and then direct it like lightning where you want it to go and how you want it to move in your life. Ignoring it, don't recommend it. Directing it, far more empowering place to be. And so with Uranus, which is the hand of divine change, divine intervention, coming in from Taurus, speaking to this Aquarius new moon solar eclipse, the change can have to do with the body or money, and they can come very unexpectedly. I want you to pay very careful attention to any groups you are a part of and ways that you're financially tied up in them and or things that you need to do with your body that could potentially put stress on it, having to do with a group or a community or technology, especially if you're one of the people who are experimenting with or utilizing new tech at this point. Working with frequencies or electricity, this sort of thing on your physical body. Two things. Number one, an opportunity for that kind of tech to be used in a healthy way can come out of nowhere and be really helpful to you at this point. Secondarily, if it's not aligned for you personally, it can have some unexpected physical repercussions, let's say. And you'll know because you'll feel them. It'll be sudden. You'll be like, okay, yeah, that's not working for me. And you can just back off. You can lower the frequency, change the vibration, try something different, or just try at a different time. Timing can be a really key part of the factors playing themselves out here as well. Okay. Um, Smaller ways that this could play out, you and a group of friends could decide to get a tattoo together, or you become a part of a health group, or a wellness team, or a group working on body image or wellness issues. And it wasn't planned, it just kind of fell in your lap. You and your friends got together, you were talking about it one day over tea, and you decided, yep, let's talk about it again 30 days from now. And next thing you know, you guys are a little health squad, this sort of thing. Alternatively, you could have joined a group focused on building wealth or making money. You may not have meant to, but it just happened all of a sudden with friends or a small group or community. Could be raising funds for a cause. You guys come together for somebody's well-being or for the collective well-being, and you're raising money, raising funds, pooling resources in that way and using technology to communicate about it. This energy speaks to that. It's the sudden movement, the sudden coming together. It's a little bit inconvenient, if not uncomfortable, but it's something that is definitely going to be of benefit if you can figure out how to work with it, even if it's not exactly smooth. Okay. So good stuff there. We also see this Aquarius new moon solar eclipse Speaking in semi-sextiles, this is an aspect I'm talking more and more about these days, to Saturn and Neptune there in Aries. Now, this is where the energy of personal shape shifting really begins to show itself. And I gave a visual example of what that looks like over there on the side with the puzzle pieces changing shape. And we're going to talk more about this live on Sunday. But Saturn here is the energy of restructuring or structures, its boundaries, its grounding, its limitations, its order, its discipline, its timing. And then Neptune here is the energy of spirituality, imagination, intuition. It's the energy of things that allow itself to be washed away. Together, Saturn wants to bring integrity to the self, structural integrity to the sign of the self, that's Aries. And Neptune is washing away anything that does not fit that structural integrity. And it's allowing you to imagine and reimagine who you really are in this new era. So, what's happening here is a new self is forming as the boundaries to the self are reshaping, which is part of why the communities that we fit into are shifting as well, because we aren't who we used to be. We don't fit where we used to fit. And with this new moon solar eclipse, this is where we may see how much the people around us have changed, especially in a semi-sextile formation. It's going to be easier to see what's going on around us than it will be ourself until some of the lunations start to shift. We start to get into the new moon in Taurus, Gemini, Cancer. Later on in the year, we'll be able to see how much we ourselves have changed. But right now, it's a little challenging in the semi-sextile formation to see ourselves. But what we'll definitely see is as we look around, like, oh yeah, the people who are in the front row, they not in the front row anymore. If they're still in the building, they're in the balcony seats. The people who are in the front row is a completely new cast of characters for a completely new season of the You show. So that's what we see happening there. Let's talk about the signs who are going to feel this the most. Now, this is the final degrees of Aquarius. That makes this a cuspy new moon solar eclipse. That means there are two signs that are going to feel it for every angle and trine aspect. So if you have sun, moon, or rising or stelliums in late degrees of Aquarius, early degrees of Pisces, late degrees of Leo, early degrees of Virgo, late degrees of Scorpio, early degrees of Sagittarius, late degrees of Taurus, and early degrees of Gemini. You guys are really going to feel it. You guys are the at that fixed angle, fixed cusp of Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus, and Leo. Now, for the trines, we also will be seeing communication. And if you've got sun, moon, rising, or stelliums in late Gemini, early Cancer, late Libra, early Scorpio, you'll also feel this pretty intensely. The themes that I've mentioned here are going to show themselves. And in particular, you really may be feeling like, okay, why are people changing up around me? Like they were one way, now they're another way. You may really feel like some of the people around you have changed, but what's being reflected back to you is either uh, two things. One, either the people around you have changed because two things. They're getting more in alignment and integrity with themselves. That's Saturn, Neptune, that's Uranus here. Both of these signs that they're in deal in two different ways, but with the self, the identity, and self valuing. So they're shifting because they're changing in the way that they are dealing with themselves. Secondarily, you'll also be finding that this is a call for you to be changing as well, getting into greater alignment with yourself. The way people around you are changing is to get into greater alignment with themselves, but it also may be a response to the way you are getting into and being in alignment with yourself. So, an example that I've seen of this recently, someone has like this way that they are moving in their relationship world, and the way they're moving is just like, okay, that works for you, but it doesn't work for some of the people around you. So they're going to go where things work for them. You are moving in a way that works for you. So you're going to call in the people who work best with that patterning for you. So the cast of characters changes because we are changing. Okay. So that's in a nutshell what we're seeing here. And the signs that I just mentioned are the signs who are going to feel this the most. Okay, let me go ahead and get into first look. I want to reshare screen and make sure. Let's talk about the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse, which you should see on your screen now. That is coming up. It's taking place on March 3rd at 6:34 a.m. If you happen to be on the eastern seaboard of the United States, definitely check a time zone converter for your local time. This is my first impression of this full moon lunar eclipse. Let's see, let's identify it. 12th degree of Virgo. Very interesting. We see an opposition to Pallas. We see an opposition to Sun, of course, Nessus, Mercury, who will be retrograde by that point. We see Luce trying to Juno, trying to Pholus, square to Lilith, semi-sextile to Haumea, sextile to Jupiter. How interesting. Okay, so I'm just going to focus on the major planetary energies for this first look, and I'll break down the asteroids at a later time and TNOs. But if we look and we see Mercury and Jupiter as primary communication energies, and of course, if you know me, you know I'll include Juno as primary as well. This is letting me know that this full moon lunar eclipse is closing. Lunar eclipses are closures, full moons are closures. It's closing out something in the arena of communication when it comes to the way that we do things in family settings and work settings concerning relationships with people. Okay, so some of you may have experienced up to 90 days prior to this lunar eclipse the closing of a service agreement at a job or a place you volunteer or an organization that you serve within. I do see some sort of closures of work, but then I'm also seeing some sort of imbalance in power dynamics where relationships have been imbalanced. So we're talking one person's giving everything, one person's receiving anything, and that power imbalance no longer works. I am seeing this Virgo full moon lunar eclipse collapse that type of structure so that both people can move into something that's going to be far more aligned. And this, again, like I said, is part of a much greater cycle on the Aquarius Leo eclipse axis of all of us moving towards where there's greater alignment with people. That being said, this Virgo full moon lunar eclipse is taking place on the Virgo Pisces axis. The Virgo Pisces axis deals specifically with sabotage or things that are external to us, Virgo, or internal to us, the subconscious mind, Pisces, that can undermine us. And so this closure here is going to help siphon out things that haven't served us collectively. And so where we've undermined ourselves, absolutely, with Mercury in Pisces, especially subconscious patterns, subconscious machinations, subconscious ruminations, um, paradigms, habits that we have worked with in the mind that have just really uprooted and undermined our stability in life. This Virgo full moon lunar eclipse is trying to help us close all of that out. And so, again, if you want to think back 90 days before, go out 90 days after March 3rd, you would have seen this start to show itself in that time frame. Okay. So I'll be back to talk more about it when we get closer to the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse. And yeah, I am looking forward to connecting with you then. If you are on the private list, check your inbox for that special invitation. If you're new here and you heard something that resonated, definitely give this a thumbs up and subscribe. And if you know somebody growing through what I just described who's looking for orientation and clarity that they're not crazy and their life isn't falling apart, it is indeed actually coming together, send this to them. It may just be the validation they need. Okay. And if you're joining me for the Twin Flame Divine Counterpart Divine Connection update, I'll see you over there. Thank you so much, and bye for now.